Good evening, one and all. Welcome to this evening's meeting. Tracy, take roll.
Harrington,
Here.
Hoffman,
Here.
Pollock,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Wason.
Here.
You were notified as to the amendment to the agenda. So since that's been published, a motion to approve the agenda as previously added be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Any item on there that you would want to talk about first before we move on it? If not, a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any final discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Kevin, your turn.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a pretty short report tonight for you guys. I'll start with the Southwest Growth Utilities. The contractor has been on site and they're working on the pump station site west of I-380. And then they're also preparing for the bores underneath I-380. The Aquatic Center HVAC replacement project, the contractor has completed the punch list for the project, the screen wall, the gas piping, etc. But there's one, with one exception to that, there's one out of scope item, which is replacement of a corroded supply duct that was discovered during construction. So we're waiting until we get the final cost numbers from the contractor on all the time and material items that they had done before authorizing replacement for that duct. Just want to make sure we've got enough money to do it and which fund it's going to come out of. Dubuque Street Phase 1 project, we held a meeting with all the private utility companies last week. It was just coordinating for the project and seeing what kind of plans they have moving forward. And then we've just started having another round of meetings with adjacent property owners. Russ has been setting those up. We've already had 2 this week, and I think we've got another one scheduled for Thursday. So we're gathering their comments and input before finalizing the plans. So far, the first 2 meetings went, I thought, were really well, and looking forward to having some more discussion. And then lastly, Rancho House renovation phase 2 progress continues. They have been doing really good work on the parking lot and the sidewalks. Most of the parking lot is poured now. There's one section where the permeable pavers will be installed later this winter, and then they still have to do the approach. They've got most of the interior painting done, and the electrical work is done. So it's moving along. And that's all I have tonight, unless there's questions.
Questions for Kevin?
Yeah, just one quick one, Mayor. Kevin, you've mentioned the Southwest growth area, and you may have said in your comments, has been behind schedule in the last several meetings. How's it looking right now?
Yeah, it's looking like they've got their crews on the project and looks like they're staying here. So that's good. The last meeting we had with them, they still reported that they think they're going to meet our schedule. And we've got another meeting scheduled for, I think it's this Thursday. Yeah, we've been having a lot of meetings with these guys. We originally started out every other week and then switched it to every week just to stay on top of it.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Heyer.
Good evening. A handful of things to update you on tonight. First one I wanted to talk about was the NESTS program, and actually I'm going to defer this here in a second, but I think many of you know, or I know all of you know, that we've been working with a group on the NESTS program, and with us tonight is Megan Alter, and she co-founded the NESTS, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about what's going on. So thanks for being here, Megan, and I'll turn it over to you.
Go ahead, Megan.
Thanks. Well, I'm here pretty much just as a gesture of immense gratitude to the city of North Liberty for working with us, particularly Tracy. She's been at our meetings weekly, and also Councilperson Rakeshia Harrington has been really helpful talking through some of the honestly looking around corners that we ourselves, being in Iowa City, hadn't really anticipated, and helping us figure out the right solutions to be able to create these micro hubs for students in need in North Liberty. So the NEST program, and I'll be brief, but just as kind of a refresher or recap, the NEST program stands for Nurturing Every Student Together Safely, and it was envisioned to have a nonprofit agency along with volunteers helping students who'd been identified pretty much from SFAs or families who self-identified as needing extra support, whether it was for internet connectivity or being out of the house in a place where they could actually get a little more adult supervision, or be able to focus a little bit better, maybe get a little bit of help with working their Chromebooks, myriad reasons. But the idea was to make sure that there was somewhere for students who are already at risk to not fall further behind. And so we started off with that premise, but then as people heard about it, they started coming to us in North Liberty. There was a parent who mentioned she was really interested, and we're like, great, we'll get people involved, and realized that the model that we had set up wasn't going to fit for North Liberty. And so what became evident was that there are a number of childcare centers, people who are really interested and invested in helping children and families, and are also trying to keep their businesses thriving or lively or around in the middle of COVID. And so this was a marriage that we were able to make between small businesses and the city, along with the school district, to be able to get students into childcare centers where they're expanding a little bit of their program to be able to take care of the needs of students. So that's kind of the nutshell version. But one of the things, in addition to saying thank you so very much for putting in some investment into this, it's going to immensely help some of the students and the families have these scholarships to be able to get into these childcare centers. As a result of the seed money from the city, there are conversations with the Optimist Club, and they may look for, be able to provide a matching grant. So there's a real snowball effect here. And we've also been in contact with the county of Johnson County, where there is a larger pot of money, but it's of course for the entire county, of $40,000. But I'm happy to say that among the first people who applied were some North Liberty families, because the word is already getting out. As a result of this, we at Nests have realized that we have to meet the community where their needs are, and to work with them and be really creative and think outside the box. And a huge amount of that credit goes to your modeling of that, to say we're really interested, but we don't have the agencies that you guys do. So how do we make this work? Who can own this? And it really made a lot of sense to be able to help promote small businesses, family needs, and keep it all in North Liberty. And so I just wanted to come here tonight and say thank you so very much.
Again, what are you using for criteria for selection of the students?
Right now, it's mainly through the student family advocates at the individual schools. They're the boots on the ground and know who the families are at risk, either through attendance issues, or that families are reaching out and talking about difficulties that they're having, as well as a knowledge of the family and the students to see, hey, would you be interested in this opportunity? So we're trying to make this as low a barrier as possible for families in need. So we're not asking for an application checklist. It's primarily a referral system, but done by those who are either volunteering in putting themselves forward to say we're really interested in getting some additional support, and then working with the school district and SFAs who then work with us.
Are you open to questions from our city councilors?
Of course.
Any questions for Megan?
Megan, this is Brent. I have just a couple. I first want to thank you. I want to thank Counselor Harrington for her work in getting you guys set. Ryan and I being on the steering committee that has had some input with this. The work that you guys have done has been phenomenal in a very short amount of time. So I want to give you the ability to reach out and get the things that you need for North Liberty right now. I know volunteers are at a premium. So where can people go to reach out to volunteer or donate to the cause at this point?
Both of those, thank you so much for asking and allowing me to sort of do a little tap dance for that. Both of those, the ability to volunteer as well as to donate is on the Better Together website through Project Better Together, which is the Iowa City Area Development website. Of course, I don't have it at hand, but I will absolutely send it along and push that forward. The Community Foundation of Johnson County is the one who is sort of brokering the money. So donations would go to them. It would be earmarked for the NESTS program. But we were talking today, actually, and if there were North Liberty residents who are like, we very much want that money to stay within for a North Liberty nest. I believe you can earmark it. They can earmark it and in donating. So it would remain within the community.
That's great. I appreciate that. And I would ask that our residents, as we get closer to Thanksgiving and the time of giving thanks and even into December with Giving Tuesday, please keep the Nest organization in your thoughts for your generous donations. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you. Thank you. If I might add one thing, we are actually thinking feverishly and quickly to stand up some kind of a holiday season fundraising. So it would go to that place, but we are trying to think about how to get some more visibility and word out about a specific giving season, if you will. So thank you for that.
Other questions for Megan?
Mayor,
Mayor, go ahead, Annie. Go ahead, Annie.
Well, Brent, just want to echo your gratitude there, and Rakisha, since I can see you right here. Thanks for your involvement, and Megan, I appreciate how you said, you know, just kind of a different lens. Rakisha always brings so much to our conversation, so that's helpful. And it was fun just as part of 100+ Women Who Care, just or the third quarter, you know, we were excited to be able to support that way. But one question, have you learned any surprises or things you didn't anticipate as positive outcomes, maybe that you didn't originally think when you founded this idea?
It's a wonderful question because, gosh, we've spent a lot of time saying, okay, what's the obstacle now? So it's great to have the question to reflect on the positives. And I think that we didn't intend this necessarily to be, well, we intended it primarily to help with educational supports, because we knew that there were a lot of students who honestly had not been in school since March, were having difficulty with connectivity, engagement issues, and really we're trying to staunch a widening gap in the achievement gap. And that still presents some challenges. But what we have found is actually the community and the cohort that these nests have. Honestly, as we continue to go through COVID and it's getting worse, you know, that sense of social isolation, kids not being able to be around one another, I think that has been actually the real positive benefit with zero downside. And I know that we are still concerned very much with safety, and a couple of nests, and fortunately there has been some exposure, and so they decided to shut down for a time. But honestly, the trade-off of having kids be able to be around one another even adults. There's a family that I know who they took advantage of coming to the nest once just so that there was literally, even if it was 10 feet apart, there was somebody else other than her children, and her children got to see somebody other than her in a different space. Because I think that's been part of what nobody mentions out loud, at least, is that there's nowhere to go. So I think that the real positive has been that kids and families and the volunteers and staff get a chance to have connection. And I think that's done a lot for emotional strength.
Rakisha, you have a comment?
So I'll jump in really, really quick, and I want to just say, like, kudos to everyone who's jumped in, because this is definitely a testament to how the communities have come together and literally put this puzzle together. What started as a thought for the southeast side of Iowa City has like expanded to see if it could be duplicated in other areas. And, you know, being a resident here in North Liberty and sending in and saying, hey, you know, I can forward it on, and Tracy being able to be involved in a lot of those meetings, and, you know, just listening, and other people in North Liberty playing a role in putting the pieces together is, I mean, it is just heartwarming. And just to say that in all the NEST programs, they kind of form their own kind of footprint. So
Yeah.
each of them look a little different based on the needs of the individuals that's coming in there. And that's the great thing, is it's a blueprint, and that blueprint is being utilized to serve other families, and more families and people are forming their own cohorts based off of that model. And it definitely is a testament of our times and the times that we're living in right now, to be able to help our neighbors and businesses and individuals all coming together for the better good. So kudos to you all, Megan, and everyone else that has, you know, NEST programs in the community to help our kids, at least our most vulnerable kids as well, be successful. I do have one question, just so that people know. What's the capacity, or how many kids are being able to be enrolled in the program?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know that we have an aggregate of all of the nests, but it varies by nest. So I know that Fred Newell's with Dream City, I think he's at capacity, and I want to say there's like maybe 24, but he has a big space. Most of them are at about 10 to 12 students, with then, you know, adults. It's not a one-to-one. There's a couple of adults. So again, the challenge has been to find space that's big enough to be able to allow for social distancing safely, and yet have, you know, more than just a few children. So if I had to,
so we can estimate maybe 10 to 12 kids.
Yeah,
starting out.
That's about the average. Yeah.
Okay.
Other questions or comments?
Mayor, it should be noted as well, city staff has put a lot of work into this, Tracy, in getting city space available to help the nests in their infancy. And along with this seed money, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that the city has provided space at various city locations to help these nests get off the ground and get going.
And if I may do one last shout out, I want to put a lot of credit to Erin Silva. She stepped up and was like really interested and said, what does this look like? And she was trying to figure it out because we were describing a totally different model. And she's like, she's been in there really pitching and making the rounds and talking to people. And I know working really hard with city as well. So she's been awesome.
Anything else, folks? Megan, thank you for sharing your information. Good program. It'll go good.
Thank you very much. So thanks again for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Ryan, back to you.
Okay, I will make this quick, just a couple quick hitters here. This is the time of year where we start having some budget discussions and talking with the mayor. We're going to plan for a budget goal setting session with this council to really to take your temperature, I guess, and get an idea of going into FY22, what some of your high priorities are. We'd like to do that in conjunction with our first meeting in December, so that'd be December 8th, and we'd like to start at 6 p.m. So I'll be getting some information out to you about that. Just taking a little bit of extra time that evening to at least start our discussions. Some statistics for you. The Fall Into Cleanup Day program has been going well. So far, we have 172 requests for vouchers or stickers, and it's split about 60-40 roughly, 60% vouchers, 40% stickers. And again, we'll take those registrations up to Thanksgiving or the week before Thanksgiving. So folks can find that information on our website or give us a call if they're needing information. And then from a utility billing standpoint, we've processed 36 payment agreement or payment application requests. These are the folks who are looking for additional time to repay some previous balances, and those actually range from anywhere from $200 to up to $1,500 for water and sewer and garbage. And so we're working with those folks to accommodate what they can pay. And then lastly, as you've all have witnessed and seen, the last couple of weeks has not been good in terms of COVID cases across the state and in our county. Obviously, the governor issued a proclamation today with some mask mandates in limited situations, and also encouraging employers to consider more work from home alternatives for their employees. Our team has been discussing obviously some of these things, and we're meeting again tomorrow to make some decisions. But I anticipate, as we've said all along, this is kind of a dial, not a switch. I imagine we're going to have to be dialing some things back here not only from a programming standpoint, from a workforce standpoint. So we'll be having that conversation tomorrow morning. I'll keep you posted on what's discussed and decided on. I just wanted to give you a heads up that that'll be coming down the pike as well. That's what I have this evening, Mayor, unless there are any questions.
Any questions for Ryan?
Ryan, can you just address, is there any change in the water pressure? I know there was a media release put out.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Brent, for bringing that up. Yeah, we put out something yesterday. Folks may notice varying water pressures at different times of the day. Tower 3 is down, so that's our big one, the 1 million gallon tank. It's down for some repairs. It should be back up here within the next few weeks. But in the meantime, we have plenty of water. We can pressurize it through our pumps at the plant, but those pumps cycle on and off. So there'll be times where maybe pressure would be lower than normal. So if you're having that issue, just be patient. It'll go away eventually. And then ultimately, once we get the tank back up in operation, everything will go back to normal.
Other questions for Ryan? Okay, Mayor's report. First off, I have a proclamation, National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. Whereas hunger and homelessness remain one of our nation's most pressing domestic issues, and this proclamation is an endeavor to educate and promote awareness about issues surrounding hunger and homelessness, and to inspire action and advocacy on behalf of people with food insecurities and who lack a permanent home. And the plight of hunger and homelessness is an issue faced daily by hundreds of men, women, and children throughout our own community. And food insecurity and hunger stem from poverty, and a lack of reliable income sources. And homelessness is the result of a complex set of circumstances that push people into poverty and force impossible choices between food, shelter, and other basic needs. And there are many organizations committed to sheltering and providing supportive services as well as meals and food supplies to people in need, such as the membership of the local Homeless Coordinating Board. And there has been steady progress to end hunger and homelessness through the collaborative efforts of our community. And we continue to work towards developing resources and capacity to meet the needs of people who are homeless and hungry, and thereby offer them hope, opportunity, and dignity. Now, therefore, the Mayor and Council of North Liberty proclaim November 16th through 20th to be National Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week. Other items that I have to share with you this evening is, did you all get a email from Kelly Sittig? No. Either Ryan or I will forward it to you about issues in regards to racial equality, staffing, and fundings for projects. And I wanted to let you know that that really needs to be incorporated in our budget discussions in the future. And there's goals and objectives in there that she wants the council to consider. So I will get that to you. Also, if there's other persons or groups that want to have input as far as the budget is concerned, please write them down ahead of time, send them in an email to either Ryan or myself, so that can be enveloped together as far as our discussions are concerned. Also, I hope that you received, forwarded a copy to you of the state letter of the new proclamation in regards to COVID. Circumstances here are not very good. The increase in Johnson County is not well, and I think Mr. Wason, if anybody can speak to that. Brian, how are things at the hospital?
We are packed to the gills. And the bigger problem though is staff are getting pretty tired. You know, the nurses are all working, they've stopped their vacations. The respiratory therapists are all working extra shifts. There's a lot of patients. It's really hard to kind of keep up with all that because there's just no downtime anymore.
Thank you. I'm happy to see you home, it looks like, for once. So not working doubles or triples?
No, I started at 6:30. I'm actually hiding in a nicer patient room today.
Oh, okay. All right. That's cool. Just as long as you don't become a patient, that's fine. I think notice went out today from Tracy that November 12th is a joint emergency meeting of the different governmental bodies and units in regards to the COVID and activities. I don't know what to expect from that yet, but I presume that there's going to be a discussion about closures, tightening of different measures, what have you. So if you can participate in the Zoom on that, you're more than welcome, and please do. So that's what I have this evening.
Mayor,
Rich.
I believe Shaylin is here to comment on the hunger and homelessness proclamation
Sorry,
from Shelter House.
I knew you had to be talking about something. I just didn't know what.
Yes, I'm here. I'm Shaylin Harrington. I'm the community engagement manager at Shelter House, and I'm here to actually give thanks for your guys' continued support and your partnership as we work every day to move individuals beyond homelessness. And the National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week, or the week, like I like to call it, it's a great opportunity to spread awareness, to increase advocacy amongst friends, family, co-workers. It's a great time to educate about the issues of poverty, hunger, and homelessness right here in our community in Iowa City, North Liberty, Coralville, and Johnson County, and what organizations that are part of the local homeless coordinating board are doing in their own respect, and working together to address these issues. At Shelter House, I am a part of the team that does a jam-packed week of awareness activities and events. Unfortunately, with COVID, I can't in good conscience bring tens to hundreds of people into one room for a panel or something. And so next week, in recognition of National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week, Shelter House will be shooting out a virtual component that educates and shares information about our organization on both our website and on our social media channels. So I'll drop the link below to that. But I really want to thank you guys for accepting the proclamation on behalf of National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week.
Thanks for your work with them. Appreciate it. How are the numbers going to stack up as far as being able to take people this year?
Yeah, so at the very beginning of COVID, we dropped our emergency shelter capacity pretty much in half. Throughout the year, it's at 70 individuals. That's a makeup of men, women, and children. But with COVID, we reduced that to 45. And so that allows us to do regular cleanings of the facility and in the dorms to spread out that 6 foot for beds and things like that. With winter coming up, we're gonna be opening the temporary winter shelter. So that brings its own challenges and everything with ensuring that CDC guidelines and everything are practiced to the best. But we do it. We have a great team of directors and great relations with the Johnson County Public Health Department on what measures can we put in place with our capabilities and things like that. So, it decreased, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean that our services have. We still work really hard to support in whatever way that we can.
Appreciate your work, kiddo. Any questions?
Just want a comment, Mayor. Or just thank you for everything you and your staff are doing. And just encourage everyone online and listening to, I know with Shelter House, you do a great job of putting the needs out there. So just how people can donate beyond, financially, just household items and other things. So just encourage folks, as we're coming up, Brent, to your point earlier, in Thanksgiving here shortly, we have a lot to be thankful for. So don't forget to help your local nonprofits as well.
Yes, so that greatest needs post, it goes out every Tuesday at 5 o'clock on our social media, on our Facebook specifically, on that page. And it has the in-kind donations from clothing items to toiletries and things like that. But as always, financial donations are welcome.
Questions or further comments?
I just want to chime in and say you all do a great job of covering Johnson County as a whole and reaching out to families. We all know that this pandemic definitely has shifted a lot of things and the needs are greater and they may not be as obvious because everyone's kind of in their home, in their homes or in their spaces trying to just distance. But the in-kind donations, the monetary donations are definitely a big one. So even if it's not items per se, you still can help a family get into a place of their own. And I think that's definitely the end goal to all of this is for people to have housing and a safe place to live. And I know with the weather changing very rapidly, as we've seen even today, that is even more important and needs to be done in a quicker manner. So thank you.
Anyone else? I'm sorry, Tashaylin, right? Did I pronounce that right?
Yep, you got it.
Well, first time today I've been
Gave
right
me one
on it.
difficult name to to live with.
Well, again, thank you for doing this, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Now we'll hit Aspen Ridge. We have a resolution number 2020-94, a resolution accepting the transfer of ownership of Aspen Ridge Part 1 Outline A.
Way back, Mayor, if I may,
Yes,
way back in 2007, the council passed, approved a plat for Aspen Ridge subdivision Part 1. And on that plat was a tiny slice of land that's connected to Fox Run Pond, which is already owned by the city. And the plat agreed, the city agreed to accept ownership of that. And we got presented with a deed a couple weeks ago. So this is us accepting that deed like we said we would back in 2007. That's it.
they did get a couple of questions this evening. Was the city taking over a lake that was privately held before? And I was saying from everything I remember, no, this is just an adjoining property. So that question did come up.
No, this is land that's already been owned by, it's been maintained by the city for years now. And we just, the title hadn't formally been transferred.
Okay. So with that resolution before you, anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions? Tracy, please.
Pollock,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. We can keep on mowing it apparently now, okay? Annual appropriations. We have a set of 3 to go over this evening. Ryan, would you explain again what the annual appropriations really do?
Sure. Over the years, the city council has entered into various agreements with economic development agreements with businesses. And generally, when we are negotiating with developers, we push them towards annual appropriation. And that is because annual appropriations are rebates. And so we aren't paying anything out until we're actually paid the taxes and the entire amount promised over the course of the 7 years doesn't count against our debt capacity. In other words, only if it's a 7-year agreement or if it's a 10-year agreement, 1/10 of that of the amount of the entire promise is counted against our debt capacity. So in a number of ways, it's just much more beneficial for the city to go that route this year. We have 3 of them up, Spotix, the Corridor Business Journal, and then A&M Development, which owns most of the property still out by the Geico and credit union area.
So we have resolution number 2020-96, a resolution obligating funds from the Urban Renewal Tax Revenue Fund for appropriation to the payment of annual appropriation tax increment financed obligations, which shall come due in the next succeeding fiscal year. This is regarding A&M Development. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or question? Tracy, please.
Harrington,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. This will be resolution number 2020-97. A resolution obligating funds from the Urban Renewal Tax Revenue Fund for appropriation to the payment of annual appropriation tax increment finance obligations, which shall come due in the next succeeding year, regarding SpotX Incorporated. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or question? Tracy, please.
Wason,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Our third one is resolution number 2020-98. A resolution obligating funds from the Urban Renewal Tax Fund for appropriation to the payment of annual appropriation tax increment finance obligations, which shall come due in the next succeeding fiscal year, regarding Corridor Media Properties LLC. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion or question?
Mayor, I need to make a retraction on a previous vote. I will be abstaining from this for financial reasons, and I should have done so with SpotX as well. I don't know what the order is.
Okay, the vote then will be reduced to 4 affirmative, none opposed, 1 abstention.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We've had a motion and a second as far as the resolution on Corridor Media Properties. Discussion or questions on that? Tracy, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Hoffman,
I'll abstain for financial reasons.
Pollock,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution passes 4 affirmative, none opposed, 1 abstention. Item 10, fiscal 22 urban renewal draw. This will be a discussion and possible action on the annual urban renewal funds request for FY22. Anybody have any questions about the report?
Yeah, just one tiny one. It's just a clerical thing. You guys, in regards to the first item in our indebtedness not previously certified eligible tax collections, the city needs should be $336,500 in that one.
Duly noted.
Thank you, Tracy. Sorry I didn't catch it earlier.
Oh, and those are just notes for me. Those aren't
Okay.
anything that the county auditor looks at.
Cool.
Other questions? Basically, if you're all right, I would need a motion to go ahead, accept the report and have it forwarded properly.
Let's do it.
Moved by Brian, seconded by
Second.
okay, I was saying, I'm not taking it down on my Visa card, that's for sure. So it's moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Compensation estimate procedure approval. This is resolution number 2020-99. A resolution authorizing the establishment of compensation estimates for the Ranshaw Way Phase 5 Improvement Project. Somebody help me with what we're doing with this.
I'm a little reluctant, Mayor. Every time I speak up, I get a text saying I'm a nerd from one of my colleagues, which is perfectly appropriate because I totally am. This is exactly up my wheelhouse. So I'll go ahead and put my professor hat on here. When we buy property for any reason related to that where there's a possibility of condemnation, like for these public improvement projects, we have to get an appraisal usually, unless the cost of the value of the property is so low that that it wouldn't be economical to do so. In that case, we have to establish some sort of procedure whereby we figure out an estimate for the value of the property rather than going ahead and paying $2,000 for an appraisal on a $1,500 temporary construction easement. And so this resolution is for the Ranshaw Way Phase 5 or 965 Phase 5 project, where we have a number of properties where we're getting permanent easements or acquisitions of right of way, as well as temporary construction easements. And then a lot of properties only have a temporary construction easement. And so this resolution would allow us to use the appraised values of the temporary construction easements for those properties that are getting appraised to inform the value of the temporary construction easements on the properties that are not, so that we have some apples to apples comparison we can make that'll satisfy the statute and make sure we're giving people a fair price for their land.
I just want to make sure the public understands what the devil's going on. That's all. So
I'll keep talking if you like.
no, you're not. Whether you're a nerd or not, you did fine. So I'll reread number 2020-99, a resolution authorizing the establishment of compensation estimates for the Rancho Way Phase 5 improvement project. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
And I'll second that. Thanks, nerd.
Thank you. Discussions or question? Please take roll.
Lost my mouse there, sorry. Smith,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Number 12, CARES resolution. Resolution number 2020-100, a resolution authorizing a request for reimbursement for eligible costs related to the COVID-19 public health emergency from the Iowa COVID-19 Government Relief Project. You had previously passed this, and then later after it was passed, we found that we were told that we had to add some more verbiage to it to make it legal. So that's what this is. It doesn't change the amounts or anything whatsoever. It's just crossing some more T's and I's that were requested. So I would ask if anybody would like to establish that resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion or questions? It wasn't Tracy's fault. Please take a roll.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Next is the Watts Group Development and Rezoning. Russ, I'm going to turn it over to you first.
Well, I guess at this point I should probably be a little hesitant to give a presentation, but I'm gonna try. Just want to share my screen. Is that coming through okay?
Yes.
Okay, so at the last meeting, there was some discussion amongst council members to make some changes to the site plan. I did talk to Adam Hahn. He is on the Zoom meeting this evening, but they did provide some additional parking at the south end, and it's kind of oriented wrong, but south end they show some off-street parking over here. By our estimation, that's 5 to 6 parking spaces, which could also serve as snow, putting snow there in the winter. Also, we're able to relocate the sidewalk off a little bit off of that curb. It was along this curb. They did not reduce the density or the number of units at all, so I'll let Adam share that. I just wanted to discuss briefly, kind of provide some insight as how staff and the Planning Commission came to its conclusion for recommending approval of this. And here's kind of a color rendering that shows it kind of oriented, and the parking would be down here. So this is the entire parcel here. It's currently zoned RM8, allows for multifamily development. I don't know how clear I was about that last time, but overall parcel 7.87 acres, so would allow for a development of up to 62 units. I kind of took some of the 3 and 4 unit buildings up on the lot 1 of the preserve and kind of tried to fit them on the upland portion of the development up here. Even with those 3 and 4 unit developments. I was able to get 44 units on this lot. Just to give you an idea of what kind of density you could get with more of a townhome style development. So this development is proposing 26 units. So we look at this as a down zoning because there's less density, less number of units. And with the residential density, when you just look at the upland portion of the lot right here, you're at 7.58 units to the acre. And so in that sense, we start to look at what the density of the properties around there to make sure is that density consistent with the area. You have this RD8 zoning right here. That's generally about 6.07 units to the acre. You've got this RD10 up here with the lot sizes. So that's generally about 7.61 units to the acre. So really we looked at this as not being out of character with this development. You've got arterial road and a collector road up here, which you'd expect more density. The other thing I'd like to mention is, this type of development's not out of character in North Liberty. I wouldn't say it's overly prevalent, but it's not necessarily out of character. This was the recently approved Vintage Estates. It does have several of the units that are separated by 10 feet, some are more. The one thing I'd mention about this is it's a nice square lot, and some of the units are spread to accommodate for the stormwater management features that are actually on site. That was 30 units on 8.51 acres, and that's 3.52 units to the acre. The request is for 26 units on 7.87 acres, and that's 3.3 units to the acre. The other development we have in town is along Penn Court. Several units here, and I think they were actually developed prior to the 10-foot requirement, because I actually think they're less than 10 feet. But along Penn Court, you have several kind of single-family dwellings here to the north and also to the west. The only other thing I'd mention is I think it sometimes gets lost of how much goes into it from a city staff point and the developer standpoint. We really started looking at these plans in early August, and I think we've had at least 6 revisions and these are fully engineered construction plans. Actually, we started out with 27 units and we convinced the developer to lose one of the units just because it was too close to that radius. So just kind of wanted to share that. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam, your turn if you'd like to make comments on anything.
Yeah, as Ryan did a great job describing there. We did go to work after the last council meeting and try to address some of the comments that we heard and to make sure that you guys knew that we are listening and still trying to do everything we can to make this development that everybody can be proud of. So, Chris had concerns last time about the sidewalk and its relation to the street. After reviewing that with Rezoning, we had lengthen those driveways that we could move those sidewalks 4 feet off of the back of the curb to allow that to feel a little bit more comfortable, probably, and still have the 20 feet between the garage and the sidewalk, so we don't have cars hanging over that. So we're happy we'll do that, and then we put some parking down there on the curb to kind of help alleviate concerns for excess parking and then snow storage. So really excited. And as Ryan said, this is a reduction in the zoning, I guess, like you said, it could be, it's R8 right now. It's not something that we're interested in right now. We're interested in this, kind of a different type of housing type of town. And excited. I sent Ryan some other photos, some stuff. Axiom Consultants is who we've been working with on this project. They've got a similar project in Silvis, Illinois, across the river in Quad Cities. It sounds like the houses are pretty close when you start looking at photos and stuff. It's pretty comfortable. And then, the only last thing I'd say is that Terrace, Gary still got grand plans for a white picket fence to really have that traditional the front porches out on the street, and the garage is on the rear on Oak Terrace. So I think that's going to be great feature that's kind of identified this area as its own little neighborhood within the greater preserve. We're kind of given its own name as Clover Hill. But yeah, we're just really excited. And, just begin to hear your guys' feedback and see if we get some more points.
Now's the time for a second consideration of ordinance number 2020-15, an ordinance amending chapter 167 of the North Liberty Code of Ordinances by amending the use regulations on property located on the southwest corner of Dennison Avenue and Oak Terrace Avenue located in North Liberty, Iowa. Those set forth in the municipal code for RS4 PAD, single unit residence planned area development. Anyone wish to establish the second consideration?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Mayor, I'll just go first. Adam, thanks for taking a look at these, and Russ for helping out in this way. I'm really happy with the sidewalks and glad to see those moved off of the street a bit. And my question was going to be whether those driveways were long enough. So you knocked that out in there. It's cool that you've got more parking spaces down there too. Is there any way that can still be parking spaces in the winter? That's the only reservation I have, because if snow goes there, cars can't, and then cars get pushed out.
I know as we talked last time, the intention would be that if there's overflow snow storage, it is removed before, shortly after the event. Generally it's pushed to there the day of the snow push, and then that afternoon or the next day they're hauling over with dump trucks to an alternative site. Yeah, it's not a planned snow storage location. It's more of where we push the snow when there's too much to push back behind the curbs here and then haul away.
Awesome, thank you.
Other questions?
Adam.
Yanni?
Just thank you for listening to our comments and last council meeting. And I think you have worked, with Russ there in the city, continue to. Russ, I think it's helpful for all listening in on this call, just what that density could be. And I do think I was in support of this design last time. And I think it's a different offering that's nice within our city. And kind of like you said to Adam, just a uniqueness within the preserved neighborhood. So I think it provides good options for people as they're choosing homes within North Liberty. So thank you.
Mayor, I have a question. Adam, just so you know, your mic is we can understand you, but there's a lot of feedback with it and gruffness to it. Who's the target for this? I mean, these are quite a high price point for a smaller footprint. I mean, I get that the majority of them are 1,700 square foot. It's not a small house by any means, but who are you targeting? Is it older retired folks? Is it younger families? Is it professionals? I mean, who are you selling these units to in the other areas that you've done this?
Sure. In the other areas that we're doing this right now, we're seeing this mix of retirement age folks and then some single parent families that they don't necessarily have the time or whatever to do or desire to want to do the maintenance outside. They'd rather have somebody else be responsible for taking care of that, and kind of like that community feel that you get when you're in a neighborhood that it's a little bit closer together, but then there's a common gathering spaces.
So what happens when this fills and this is to be turned over to an association and nobody, people are moving in here because they don't want the extra work. Being an association president for a long time, it's a lot of work. So who is going to be the person that's going to move in here and pay that kind of money to not have the problems and want to be the association president that has to deal with all the problems?
Yeah, that's a good question. And truthfully, Watts Group manages a lot of HOAs that we're not part of anymore. We still are hanging in there for a very small fee. I can tell you that I don't think it's we don't get paid enough to do it, but we do end up managing a lot of HOAs like that because you're right. Nobody wants to get the bids for the snow removal. And then, you know, kind of manage the mowing to see where they're at. But there's no doubt that long-term we're in this subdivision. And if it, you know, Watts Group will be involved in this HOA for quite a while. For sure.
So, and finally, I know we've talked a lot about it. I've heard a lot of feedback from citizens that they believe that there's too much multifamily residential, and there's kind of this decry for variability and options. This does do that. I guess from a city perspective, you know, certainly everything's maintained, upkept, where we're not having to send code enforcement folks out to be sure that lawns are mowed and snow is removed and the place is looking nice. So from that perspective, Russ, this will be probably the first one since you've been here that I'll lean exclusively on with your work, the comments that you made and the approval process that you guys went through.
I will tell you that options like this are especially attractive to seniors because they don't want to mow the big lawns or take care of a bigger house anymore. You know, there can be zero entry into their premises. And plus the fact when the choices are stay in your own home, whatever it may be, or live in a condominium complex where it may be a cooperative where the cost for that can be quite surprising. And if you read anything about the vintage, you know, cooperative, you not only have the house price, but you got the, you know, costs with it that go into thousands and thousands of dollars per year. And so this is certainly, for HOAs, more financially manageable for an older couple or, you know, who is single, whatever. But it still makes it attractive for other people that are beginning their families and whatever. So from the senior side, that's where, you know, I've noticed this quite a bit because I've attended a couple of them where the cooperatives where they, you know, you buy your house and you really own it, but maybe you don't own it. And then you share on all the upkeep on that. And in penciling it out, that would not be my preference at all. So that's where I'm coming from. Any other questions or comments?
I just like to tell Adam, we appreciate you guys kind of, oh, now you moved, looking at everything over after we kind of had some reservations last week and trying to pick up something to make it a little bit better. So appreciate that.
Thanks, Brian.
And I piggyback on them and just agree with that wholeheartedly that they took the time to go back and review that, but also to provide another option for home ownership and living in North Liberty. I think it's important for us to have multi-generational like neighborhoods and communities so that it doesn't get lost. And so that is an option. So thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Tracy, please take roll.
Harrington,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Wason.
Aye.
Second reading passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Third and final reading, the next meeting, regular meeting in November. Adam, thank you for your time. Russ, and your work on this. Old business.
Mayor.
New business.
Sorry, Mayor. On old business, I know that there is COVID fatigue. We've talked a lot about it in this meeting, but I'm going to keep beating the drum. I know many folks that have gotten sick the last 2 weeks. It's hit my friends and my community hard in the last 2 weeks. So I'm asking and now begging folks to please wear a mask. please do that for yourself and your neighbors. Please reconsider family get-togethers on the upcoming holiday. I know that's difficult, but please reconsider that. We want to do what's best for our friends and our family, and what's best for them is to not give them COVID. So let's reconsider that, and especially for friends like Brian who are on the front lines, working diligently and hard. So please reconsider that. Thank you, Mayor.
And just to add, and wash your hands a lot.
Brian, you're doing wonderful work. Keep it up. I know it's tough, but we're all supportive of you, bud.
So it's our, critical care folks, and then some of our other nurses. We have a COVID unit here now, and they're jam packed. So we got, people are specialized in that, and so they're working really hard trying to keep things going, and we're trying to keep everything else going. So.
Yeah. Thank you for the info on that, Brian. New business, anything else, buddy, folks?
I have two things.
Go ahead.
It's National Nurse Practitioner Week. So shout out to all the nurse practitioners who are here taking care of all of our people in the ICUs with COVID. So we appreciate all them. And then the other ones are helping out for various other things. And then B, tomorrow, I think Rakisha is the pizza with politicians. And then we're going to work on talking to some kids about that, but we don't get any real pizza though.
If nothing else, remember tomorrow's Veterans Day. Please have those service people in your thoughts, past and present. So anything else, good folk?
Mayor, I'd like to thank again Abner, Maine, Kwanda, and Quincy for kicking off our I Remember When project and sharing their stories. If folks have not had a chance, please go to our website and search for the I Remember When project and listen to their stories so you can get their perspective on what it's been like to live in North Liberty.
Any final comments or wrap up? If not, thank you for your attendance this evening. Have a good rest of the week and stay safe.